Hello, document design students. We're continuing with our lesson in applying and creating styles. I've changed the uh, three types of paragraphs at the start of this document to reflect best practices. I notice, I've got one here, a normal style being used for spacing, but I'm going to apply body style to it. And I did that without using the cursor because I have a shortcut key for the body text style. And either at the end of this clip or in a separate one, I'm going to be explaining how you can create shortcut keys or use the ones that already exist for your most commonly used paragraph styles. This really comes in handy. In my case, the body text style for me is always Alt-B. When I press Alt-B, it turns the style, the paragraph, into a body text style. So I'll do that right there. Now, this clearly ought to be a heading 1, so I'm going to select it and just come over to my list, which again has the entire gallery of styles in alphabetical order because I went down here to options and designated that. You notice it's putting more space up here, so lo and behold, I can probably get rid of that. Now, to see where you have empty paragraphs, it's a good idea to have the paragraph, show hide paragraph on. This key up here in the home tab area of the ribbon, almost like a musical note, the paragraph mark here turns your formatting code symbols on and off, and it's good to see those sometimes. When you're checking word spacing, for instance, normally it will put one dot for every word space, and just by turning this on and off and increasing your zoom, you can often spot where you have double spaces. Of course, an easier way to do that is just use the find and replace to find every instance of a word spacing. But if you use the computer like a typewriter, like many people do, you may have a lot of extra sequential word spaces that are just moving pixels around. That's not a best practice, and it's not a best practice to have paragraphs, empty paragraphs, used to space text. We often resort to it as a shortcut, but if you were designing a template, you could design it so that, for instance, here, if you know that a body text is always going to come after your byline, you could set up the byline paragraph so that it always has space below it. And in fact, probably ought to be separated from the text above it, so we'll put 12 and 12, see how that looks. Okay, so now if you wanted to have this closer up here, which seems like a good idea, the principle of grouping says the byline seems logically to go better with this block of text. So I'll go back to it and modify it, and maybe put extra below, and that way now it's clearly grouped with this block of text, and there's more separation here. And you would normally, looking at that, think, there's an extra space there, because that's the way we normally space things out vertically. But in fact, if you were setting up a template, applying styles in a professional way, you would try to avoid having empty paragraphs. Another empty paragraph here. I'll delete it, and because my heading obviously already has some space above and below, that's not going to be a problem. Let's inspect, see what they had set up. See how they have, this is the Microsoft designers who did this. They just by default put 12 points above the heading and 3 points after. Some people like to have a little more space after, but you can always tweak that. Sometimes it will depend on the exact look you're trying to come up with for a document.